The question for the Polestar 2 is it better than the Tesla Model 3? And it's not something you can just answer with a simple yes or no question. For example, this is the dual-motored performance version with a just over €6,000 option of Brembos, Olin dampers, which are very, very hard, and gold caps on the dust covers of the wheels. Questionable enough. But this is the car that has it all, because it's practical. It's got a decent boot, a lift-back style design, room for your kids in the back, and it'll carry 4/5 passengers very, very comfortably. And if you get the longer range version, you're talking minimum 400 brake horsepower, charging speeds of 30 minutes, up to 80%, 78 kilowatt hour battery, 0 to 60 in just over 4 seconds. This really is the thinking person's petrol EV, in the sense that if you are a petrol head, I promise you will love this car. 50-50 weight distribution, neck snapping, back of your seat performance as soon as you squeeze the throttle. It is integrated with Google systems, so it's got real-time traffic. You won't use maps on your phone anymore because it's the same in the car, and it'll tell you which is the quicker route to get home. It looks pretty gorgeous. So Polestar, who are they? They are the performance electric division of Volvo, made and owned by a Chinese company. And these are in the market in EVs for just a couple of years. Yet what they've achieved in that relatively short space of time is pretty phenomenal. It's based on the Volvo XC40 platform, and there are touches like the steering wheel and stuff that will say, yep, this is a Volvo, but really it's not. And it's such a great driver's car that's what I mean about just smiles from driving this. They will be there. Some other bits you'll get with the optional packs are these perhaps questionable gold/yellow seat belts. I think they're okay. They brighten up the interior. Glass roof, class. Where it lights up with the red strip on the back of the car at night time. Looks really, really good. The interior is just better than an awful lot. You know, you've got to look to Audi, Mercedes, BMW to get this level of quality on a electric car in today's market. And actually, the starting price for the single motor standard range car is just over €50,000, which is really pretty good. Like, you could get an Lexus ES300 for that. Well, it's not quite as future-proofed as this car. Frameless mirrors house your blind spot. There's a bit of road noise, but nothing too impactful. If you want to get a full kind of walk around vibe of the Polestar 2, earlier video I have is here, but I just wanted to focus on the performance of this. And even if you don't go too mad in the options, you're going to be into your early 60s. This car really does scrape over 70. You're going to avoid the grants and all that stuff, obviously. Car weighs over 2.1 ton. Not that you'd necessarily know that when you're pushing on into bends, because there is a nice balance from that 50-50 weight distribution. It just seems to shift all the weight around pretty nicely, and you'll be confident enough going into a sharp bend a little bit too quickly. The last electric car I drove that was probably this enjoyable was the Jaguar I-Pace. Again, a really good driver's car when it comes to an EV, and I was impressed with the Polestar 2 to begin with, and then just the performance of this, it just gives you that, especially with passengers, like you get a little bit used to driving it, but anytime someone new's in the car and you squeeze that throttle, it's like, ooh, my stomach is doing flips. It's that kind of power down. And the whole package, the quality of it, in some cases, I suppose you could say the fact that it'll be rare enough on Irish roads, and the performance of over 400 brake horsepower for that price tag, it's almost out there on its own, and it's a pretty unique offering for the whole package. Efficiency wise, I've got to say I'm impressed. So you'll look, the range is, depending on how you drive it, you may get 400 kilometers out of a charge, right? But actually, with all that performance, it's doing 21 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. And for 400 brake horsepower, that's pretty good. I haven't seen it much higher than that, and I haven't seen it below 20s either. But you have to get into much less powerful EVs to get under the 20 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers mark. And actually, in a lot of cases with this kind of brake horsepower, it sometimes the car will sit much higher than that, closer to the 30s. And I'm not seeing that with the Polestar 2. So it's not quite as efficient as a Tesla Model 3, but it's not massively far off it. And again, it's another box ticked for the overall package of this car. You're not going to be dealing with huge levels of range anxiety. Even if you're doing a bit of motorway driving, obviously you're going to need to pull over, obviously going to use more at a sustained 120. But I've found this week, no matter how hard I've driven it, it just is happy at about 20, 21 kilowatt hours. So I do think the Polestar 2 is a great product. I think if you want to push the boat out, and like even if you don't go for any extra packs, for like €4,000, you're getting a jump of 180 brake horsepower or something like that. Like, it's quite an increase in performance and a few different options, and you know, a longer range car and all that for €4,000. It's like, it's pretty good value. You obviously don't have to go to the performance versions of it to get the longer range battery. You can still get the 78 kilowatt hour just in what is kind of the standard car. And again, that's still pretty decent value for money. So no great surprise if you've seen my previous Polestar 2. It's a very impressive car, but this one really is exciting. It's fun to drive. It's bloody quick, and it looks great with the Brembos and all those things on the outside. So again, it's great to see another true performance option when it comes to electric here on sale in Ireland. Would you go for one? Let me know. Would you have it over a Tesla Model 3 Performance, or just, you know, any sort of Model 3? Yes, there's no Tesla supercharging, fair enough. It's not quite as efficient, fair enough. But build quality, don't think Tesla can quite match it. Anyway, comments and questions, please do leave them down below. Like and subscribe to the channel, please, if you haven't. We're on the way to 30,000 subscribers. That would be deadly. And I will see you on the next one.